Hello. 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 Good morning. Good morning. Are we recording? Good morning. Hello. There's Brittany. All right. There is Ryan. Hello. There is Brandon.
Good
Hello.
morning.
Good morning. Good morning. There is and Charlene. And okay, we're doing this quick. Um, good morning, Ryan. I think I said hi, Brittany, for the double. Yes, awesome. Good morning, Gaia. Good morning, Mickey. Oh, did you just say good morning? Oh, was that a voice? Okay, well. Good morning, Alexis. Good morning, Charlene, for the double.
Okay, now.
So I think, and wait, and Brittany, is that you saying, or do you, okay. Oh,
How wise the geometry was used.
Yeah, they just so they put the grams into mole.
um, no I mean, I was told there'd be no chemistry in this class. Okay, just kidding. Okay. Okay. There is Stephanie. Okay. And here comes Chanel. I am I prepared to use a board this morning, but um I'm almost thinking that we're not going to. Well, it depends. When you Chanel on the last day, she's got the wow, cool. Okay. All right. So and there's Nasreen. Okay, good morning. Good morning. Um so um it is our last class. I am getting slightly sentimental. I am very hope slightly. I'm very much hoping to see many of you on the other side. Into great, awesome. Uh, that and especially if I get to know you in person. Okay, great. I'll take that. Just thank you, Brandon. Okay. So I want to get some logistics. I think most of so I have something to do today, believe it or not. I do, but the I don't even know why I sound rushing. I think this whole group is pretty much ready to close down this shop from the semester with dignity, grace, and success. Like now, again, most of you are you still have an opportunity to do some old things if you want to catch up or get more points or this or that. I owe you a lot more points, most of you, than you owe me. Just as another reminder and an apology or whatever, all the points that you have earned through game turns or this or that have not been sent back to you recently, they are all there and they will all be computed into your grade. I assure you of that. And as I um as I think I explained last class, you will get a spreadsheet before your grades officially get turned in. So you will see all the credit that you have absolutely earned. You'll see the full breakdown of your grade. You'll have a moment, like you'll have a few hour a day to respond if there's an issue. Hopefully there isn't an issue. Um, and again, let me repeat what I did. All of the stuff will be coalesced, and hopefully you will have learned something, and hopefully you will get as high a grade. Well, you will get as high a grade as possible, and then hopefully in many of your cases that will be a very high grade. Anyway, like as I mentioned at the beginning of the semester, there's no limit to the high grades. I want as many of you to end up with as high grades as possible. Of course, I want them all to be legitimately earned. Um, so we still have to get through the final exam and all of that stuff. And tiredness to that list. Yes, yes. So again, if there's any more loose ends in for any of you individually, you can always reach out. I'll put it again just to make sure because I want to close this down as a group today. Again, if there's any individual issues, um, you can reach me by the obvious email or by this, which is in the chat again. Um, yeah. Um, and I will be in my office again next Tuesday on the fourth floor, but I can't imagine you'd want to see me then, but I'll be there. Um, and I'll be there after final exams too. I can't imagine why you would want to see, but you're welcome to. Okay. So all of that. Actually, there are some of you that I still have some loose. Anyway, my impression is with your group, I believe you still have, tell me again, I know you told me this yesterday, and I know I just spoke with her yesterday. I just spoke with Mercedes yesterday, but I'm getting all the sections confused in my mind. I believe she confirmed with me she still has one more lab period with you. Is that correct, Mercedes? No. Wait, what was she talking about then? Oh, she was talking about her other side. Okay, 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 okay. So you're done with Mercedes. Okay. Oh, that was yesterday. Oh, but that was yesterday. So wait. So maybe that is what. So yesterday, did she, that was yesterday. So did she in that lab period yesterday, was it your section where she addressed that spring problem that is the first homework problem in physics 204? She did. Okay, okay, that's what I'm asking. Great, great, great. Okay. So, okay, great. So that is not 100% promise, but just to remind you, yes, it's a distinct possibility that that problem would be on your final exam. It's a distinct possibility that on your final exam, you may have the opportunity or the obligation to redo the worst of your problems from your midterm. Again, reminder, if that occurs on your final exam, if you're asked to redo a problem from your midterm, then first of all, please include your whole midterm. I mean, like state, just recopy it or re-upload it so that I can see that it is your worst problem, basically, or something to that effect, or so I can see what went wrong before, and I can see what comments I made, blah blah blah, and then you will, if you're redoing a problem from your midterm, you will redo the whole thing. Please understand that again. Don't just make little corrections. Like, give me a fresh new document, like it's a better version, complete version of your old. I think you understand that, but I'm just reminding you. So you should be prepared to be able to do that. And again, between now and then, you can text me or email me if you have questions about my handwriting or anything like that, or like what it is that I'm looking for. That's obviously fine. For me to clarify for you. So it's possible you'll be asked to do that on the final. It's possible that you'll be asked to do that spring problem on the final. It's possible you'd be asked to do something with the inclined planes and all of that that's in the other document from the final. All those are possibilities, and it's possible that you're going to choose. I mean, some way or another, you'll end up doing two problems. I hope that's clear, and I hope it's clear that it'll be posted no later than 8 p.m. this Friday, and then you'll turn it back to me by midnight of Tuesday. If you have a personal problem or a medical problem or a family problem or anything, I don't need proof from the United States Supreme Court, but I do need advanced communication. Like I need you to work if there's going to be an issue with your exam coming in on time, especially at this time of year. Okay. Okay. Wait. Oh yeah, yeah. Wait, fair question in the chat. And this is the time, by the way. Like right now is the time for any kind of last minute, like loose ends or concerns about anything about all of this. Um, yeah, this is the time. So there's yeah, I'm certainly not going to reveal names on this. Like a couple of people in the chat are raising the issue, like what if they did really well? I'm paraphrasing, but what if they did really well on the midterm? What if there's like not that much to correct? Then that's great. The good for you. Not no sarcasm. Like if your weaker problem on your midterm was still a very good and you only lost like 1 point here or there, then literally just redo the thing you did. I mean, yes, like recopy it. It'll be physical labor, but give a new copy of the thing you did. It's almost like a proud like representation of a successful document. Redo all the success that you already did with the minor corrections updated. Like, yes, you're just going to spend your time essentially embracing and reviewing and recopying your successful document, and you'll know that you're taking no risk by doing that, that you're basically doing it to get a double collection on those points and get one more point or whatever it is that you lost. Like, yes, it's not meant to be a trick and it shouldn't be stressful if you already did really well in the midterm, if that's one of the choices on the exam and if you choose it. Right. It's basically a reward for you having already sort of shown yourself in this course. But just redo the whole thing. And if you've learned something since then, or you think you can make it even better, make it even better. But yes, it's like my way. Yes. that's another way of putting to all of you, in some sense, at this point in the semester, part of the purpose of the final exam by this point is to give people who have been struggling or had a bad day with the midterm or whatever, is to give them a chance to recalibrate and improve and save their grade or whatever. But I don't want the final exam to be a stressful risk to those of you who are already in good firing position. I don't want the final exam to be something that can suddenly ruin your hard work that you've already done. So yes, if you already really rocked the midterm and you've been rocking in the course, the final exam is like an opportunity for you to like cement that and seal the deal. Honestly. So yeah, but it'll be manual labor. You will have to go through the effort of, but it's like a review and refresh. All right. So no, fair question, but I hope that's okay. Okay, great. Oh wait. Well, yeah, but so what I am saying is I'm looking at the chat. Yeah. That is the one thing. If the problem on the midterm, excuse me, if the problem on the final exam says redo a problem for the midterm, whether that's a choice or an obligation, if you do that problem, even if you only lost 1 point or something on your worst midterm problem, you're still redoing the whole thing. You're not just like correcting that point. You are like that's the one effort you have to put in to end the semester with dignity is yeah, you're going to give me a new copy of it. But it kind of, I mean, I don't want to get into a whole thing, but that is kind of like if you write a really good paper and in life and it has success, or you give a good talk and it has success, enough success for you to be invited to the next conference, then you give that talk again, right? But now you're sort of not only celebrating the fact that it's a really good talk, so now you can really like lean in and enjoy the talk, but you take it to the higher level. Like now it's already had the stamp of approval. So now it's like, here it is. And then you really learn that talk, or in this case for you, then that problem that you already rocked on, that you're going to rock on again, and you're going to like go through the effort of reciting it again. Now you really, really know that physics. I mean, and I'm not trying to over rationalize. I mean, I slightly am, but and I'm going to move on to this. But yeah, if you already did well in the midterm, you're using the final exam as an opportunity to like lean into your own success, but also to lean into the physics that you now have the confidence that you understand correctly. So now you're digging into it. Now you're embracing it. I mean, not to be cheesy, but please remember, folks, if it ever comes across like I understand any of this physics, or let alone like it, which I do, right? I love it, actually, this physics, right? I mean, part of the reason is that I get to over and over and over again, semester after semester for over 30 years, I get to keep talking about the same physics, right? I'm saying the same thing over and over, but I'm totally not. You can't step in the same river twice. I Each time I get to look at this same stuff, especially with a little bit of confidence built from the last semester that I kind of know what I'm talking about, like then I get to really contemplate it in a next level, relaxed, meditative way. I mean, again, that's a whole other, but so there's no harm in doing something well twice, to put it mildly. There is no harm. But okay. Well, wait, now so this, okay, great. Now there's a different question in the chat. Just to clarify, someone's asking in the chat, well, I'm going to read this because I want to be super explicit about this. Excuse me. It says, so our final exam will be one question and a redo question from the midterm of our choosing. That's close to correct, but that's not exactly correct. So let me be very explicit about this. What is correct is that your final exam will be two questions. You'll do two questions. Yes, that's correct. It's also 99% correct that you'll have some choice involved. Well, that's definitely good. It's correct that you're doing two questions. It's probable that one of those questions is a redo from your midterm. It's probable, but I only started doing that routine like last semester. So it's not, that's why I've given you two practice, I believe. Yeah, you have two possible practice documents in your Google Classroom. I can take two problems in any way that you from either or both of those two documents. I have literally not decided yet because I've tried things different ways. So I want to be clear. It's very probable that one of your final exam questions will be a redo from your midterm. It's probable, but it's not definite. Okay. Well, first of all, let me just pause. Can everybody just give me a thumbs up if you heard that? Like, because I don't want to mislead anybody. Yeah, it's not a vote. All right, thank you, thank you. Yeah, that one's not a vote. Okay, thank you. I mean, you can give me input. You can send me a text or an email and say, please, please do that. I mean, I'll incorporate the input, but it's not a vote. Okay, thank you. But the other thing to make clear, just to make absolutely clear, is if you're asked to redo a problem from your midterm, then that's not then it has to be the one you did worse on. That is a definite. Like, okay, it's not a problem of your choosing. It's the one that you lost more points on if we do that. Kind of for all the reasons that were, well, it doesn't matter what the reasons are, but so is that, wait, no, yeah. So I'm looking, okay, you got it. Thank you for saying you got it. So that closes the loop. Thank you. And wait, when it says any two questions. No, so I don't know. No, so what I'm not, I mean, I think I'm giving you a pretty specific vision of the vinyl. Like, I don't think there's going to be a lot of mystery, but I am saying I reserve the right. It could be any combination of two problems from those two documents that you see in classroom. Like, it could be a redo from the last exam. It could be that spring problem that Mercedes just went over with you, which is the first assignment for 204. It could be the inclined plane thing that you see in the document from last year. The one and so you have to be prepared for all of that. That's your one studying job. You have to be prepared for the recent material of inclined planes and all of that. You have to be prepared to improve wherever you went wrong on the midterm. You have to be prepared for springs because that was the most recent material and transitions you into 204. You have to be prepared for any combination of two problems for any of that. In the final analysis, there'll be two problems. You might have some choice in the matter, but I'm not promising exactly what the combination is. Like that's like the one whatever teacher aspect of this whole thing. So wait, is that I'm not trying to play with you. First of all, I just need you to know all of those things. I think it's fair to do it this way. But I just don't literally know which exact two problems it is yet. So wait, is that clear to everybody that it could be any two from those two documents in Google Classroom? Could you? But yeah, okay. Yeah, yes, okay. Unfortunately clear. Okay. Well, I hope that I didn't mean this as a surprise. I thought this is what I was saying on Wednesday or on look, and again, if you want to influence me, you can do that. If not right now, but if you want to reach out later with an email and text and say, please, I've been talking to my classmates and we all really want you to do blah. I'll listen. I mean, I won't obey necessarily, but I'll take it seriously. So you can do that later because I'm gathering right now that there's some it's not meant to mess with you, but it is meant that it's the end of a semester. You need to be prepared. You need to know all the things from the semester. We just don't have time to literally test you on all the things. So anyway, all right. We had hope. All right, fine. Well, your hope still could be. All right. So look, so seriously, one of you or many of you, send me a message later on that tells me what specifically your hope was and what your hope still is. I'll care. It won't be the only decision-making factor, but I'll care. Okay. All right. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, all right. Well, at least you're giving me, okay. I'm seeing in the chat what it is you guys want. Look, that's helpful. Um, Good to know. Because honestly, I don't even ever, it's good to know. Okay. Sure. Okay. Okay. So now my question is there anything else is there any other loose ends or any logistical or academic concerns I mean, there's one more thing I want to do with you, but don't worry, it won't be stressful. There's one more thing I want to do with you before we say goodbye. So class is not over by any means, but the thing that I want to do is the last thing I want to do. So once I'm doing it, then we're done. So is there any other questions or anything about the final exam or final grades or finality or next semester or anything. I should say also, well, yeah, I believe that, and by the way, I'm excited. I believe that two out of the three 204, no, what? How does that work? Oh, I keep saying next semester, but next semester is full. Yeah, I mean, if you're taking 204 next semester, I think that means that you're taking it in person with me, I believe, which I'm excited about if that's true. Yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, great, great. Okay, so that's great. But for me, that's great. But okay, is there any other questions at all? Oh, that's a fair question. Um, the question is today the last day to submit missing homework? Um, I honestly, I you could do it up till tomorrow because I think tomorrow is technically the last day of classes in general, even though today's our last class. You could take till tomorrow. But don't go past that because then Friday you should be worrying about your final, and you and I should we should all move on by Friday. But if you want to take till tomorrow till 11:59 p.m. and again, don't give me a huge stack in one day. That wouldn't look. But yes, you can submit things tomorrow. Okay. Oh, I like in person better too, and I'm glad to hear you say that. Okay, you're welcome. Yeah, no, I like in person better too. And I'm glad, I'm relieved that some of your generation still feels that way, frankly. Um, okay, okay. So are we good? Okay. Uh, yeah, 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 yeah. Nines across the board. Nines. That is a new expression that I don't know. Nines. Is that like Amazon feedback customer satisfaction ratings? Wait, nines across the board? Or is it a bowling score? Oh, thank you. Oh, okay. All right, I'll take it. Thank you. Okay. Wow, yeah, but apparently I'm so out of touch. Okay, thank you. Oh, and on that too, I'll say, God, here's a bad segue. So I'm going to shift gears for what we're going to do for the next half hour or so. And it's not to kill, it's on purpose. You'll see in a minute what it is. But I will say what we're going to do to end this class and to hopefully before I see you again, what we're going to do is hopefully we'll tie the intellectual content together to some degree, but hopefully in a relaxed fashion. What we're about to do might even help you understand the point of this course, but it's not something you have to like study or solve or do anything. It's not a responsibility on your part toward the final exam or anything. It's meant to be a sharing thing. Um, I ask you to stay and here, bear with me for this. If it ends, as soon as I'm done with the thing that I'm about to do, as soon as I'm done, I'm just going to shut down. Even if that's early, I will. I don't know if it'll be early, but this, I'm going to read something to you, okay? And once I get started, I'm just going to read it. It'll be slightly awkward for me, but hopefully enjoyable for you, and hopefully make some sense out of certain aspects of the course. Um, don't leave, please. But I will say, if you're bored while it's happening or spacing out or something, please also recognize this is another opportunity to fill out the course evals. If you haven't yet, you get 20 points for doing them. I mean, there's two, one for lecture, one for recitation, even though they're like this, even though you can say the exact same thing in both. So please don't forget, and that you can still do by tomorrow as well. Please do the course evaluations. I will not see what you say. I promise. I mean, I will see it in aggregate. I will not know. I don't want to know, and I won't know, and I can't know who says what. But if you do that, but we do need the data, and we do take it much more seriously than you might imagine. Um, so I'm going to start reading something in a second. So if you haven't done the course eval, this could be an opportunity to do it. Okay, okay. Oh my God. Yes. Oh yeah, swap over to your phone. That's fine. Yeah, it is. Direct chat person. That's what I'm going to do. I couldn't remember if I mentioned it. Okay, so yes. So bear with, so hopefully um, yeah, you're on it. Um, direct chat person. So yes. I'm going to switch the view on the screen too. So I guess maybe I mentioned, oh, sorry. One sec. Oh no, that's right. Okay. I may have mentioned when this whole course is really about Galileo's principle of relativity. I mean, I think all of physics in a way rests on Galileo's principle of relativity. And Galileo's principle of relativity comes from, I did, yes. Okay, wow. You really do pay attention, many of you. Yes. Okay, so bear with, but I didn't actually read it. I just mentioned it, correct? Well, okay. So yes, um, Oh, I did. Oh, okay. Wow. Apparently I know what I'm doing. I didn't realize that. All right, all right. So yeah, so at least one person who knows what I'm about to. Okay. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. People in the past have sometimes this is enjoyable. Okay, so the point is this. In a weird way, everything we're doing in physics, and in a weird way, everything you're going to do in physics 204, and everything that goes beyond and comes from Einstein and all that, it all rests. It's all flowing out of this weird recognition that the Earth can move at 65,000 miles per hour past the sun and us perpetually not feel it at all. So much so that we could go centuries and centuries not even being aware of it. Right? Like physics rests on this idea that the Earth moves. Galileo got this idea across in many different ways, but in one famous book that was called Dialogue on Two Chief Systems of the World, which is a satirical book. It's a play about three characters that are trapped together, that are debating about whether that are debating the Copernican theory. They're debating about whether it could possibly be said that the Earth is moving or not. These three characters, one is saying the Earth is moving. One is saying that the Earth is not moving. That the Earth is in the center, and one that's in between, and that's sort of in between and undecided. And so he just has these three characters debating for a huge long book with diagrams and all this and math and all these intricate arguments and stuff. But it's a dialogue and it's an argument. So, number one, it never literally comes out and says, you must believe this. It explores the whole thing, which is very clever and entertaining. Oh, and by the way, it's not even written in Latin. It's written in Italian, which is, I mean, Galileo was Italian, but the point is, at that time, if you were writing like a classic, like serious academic text or something, you would write it in Latin. Like Newton wrote the Principia Mathematica, years later in Latin. That's what you did. Like educated people were educated in Latin. Then that's But this book was not written in Latin. It was written in the vernacular, like in the common people's language, because it was meant to just be like, hey, let's think about this. And there was like humor in it, and it was satirical. So it was a very strategic political thing. Like I'm putting it out there, and anybody who's paying attention and following these arguments is going to see my point. But I'm not saying, it's like that. Now, of course, but it's like layers and layers because, for example, the character that's supposed to represent believing that the earth does not move, the character that represents essentially the view of the Pope at the time and so forth, that character was named Simplicius, like simpleton. So, like, okay, you didn't have to be a genius to know what perspective the book was, ultimately advocate, but it was a satire, is a point, and it was a narrative. It was a dialogue among three characters fleshing out the whole thing of whether the earth moves or not. Okay, so as I guess I've mentioned to you guys a while back, I wrote a children's story modeled after that, a short children's like bedtime story modeled after that. That's three characters, only there two of them are kids. There are three characters kind of in a dialogue that come to discover the ideas that they come to discover something about the earth in their like childlike way or whatever. In fact, one of the children doesn't even speak, just listens. Um, and so this is my attempt to softly, gently try to get across like what basis we have in the first place for even thinking that the earth is moving, since all of this physics really does come from the idea that the earth could be moving and yet us not feel it. So what I'm going to ask, so it's 11:20. So I'm going to just ask you to sit back and relax, and bear with me and fill out the course evals if you haven't. And I'm just going to read you this bedtime story because it's the end of the course and it seems appropriate. Uh, oh, wow. I'm loving this direct chat. Thank you. Oh, okay. And apparently, I even did mention that I might do this, which is great. So I am. And yes, it's available on Amazon, blah, 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 blah. But I don't make any money. Believe me, it's not whatever. It's a labor of love. And in fact, it is. I will admit, too, that when I wrote this, when I first was working on it, when I first started working on it, was before my older son was born. And I was working on it intensely, and then I did a lot of it right when he became little. His name is Jesse. And then I didn't finally really finish it and put it together or publish it or whatever until my second son was born. And so it is meant. I mean, it's whatever. It's like that. All right, so here we go. Uh, but as I say, it's hopefully it's short enough that hopefully I'll get through it before this period ends. And whenever I'm done with it, I'm just going to shut down, and that's my goodbye and my thank you. And I can't wait to see you next semester. And I can't wait to see how good your grades hopefully are. So forgive me if it shuts down early. It shuts down early. Okay. Okay. So it looks like this. Whatever it's called, AndStillItMoves. Okay. All right. Chapter 1: Sun. Jesse, Missy Jean, and Professor Pio Pio lived on a land called Earth. Earth was a big land, divided into many smaller places. Their place was called 40 degrees north of the equator, 74 degrees west of the prime meridian. Their time was called the first day of autumn. Once again, it was late at night. It was thrillingly late. So late somehow that a little later, and soon, it would be early in the morning, way before the afternoon. It was never fully clear how that part ever fully worked. Once again, Jesse, Missy Jean, and Professor Pio Pio were in the laboratory on 4, near the corner of 10 and 59, in the building named T of John J. Once again, Missy Jean was at the counter working on a secret potion. This time, thus far, the potion involved sodium bicarbonate, yogurt, ice chips, and a few iron filings. The potion did not yet do what it was supposed to do. It was, however, unusually magnetic for something so tasty. Jesse was on the floor studying how rattles and small stuffed animals behaved when he did not put them in his mouth. Jesse had very recently started to make observations under this challenging condition. His observations were still limited. He was fairly convinced that stuffed animals, when kept away from his mouth, were neither tasty nor magnetic. Professor Pio Pio was at his desk. Without looking, Missy Jean just knew it, and she knew what he was doing. He was scribbling symbol after symbol, all somehow neat and yet unreadable at the same time, in that thick brown journal of unlined paper. He called the symbols math, but Missy Jean knew better. Missy Jean had learned math last year in her school. Her school was called 92 Street Y. Her class had finished all of math in time for summer, and she had even gotten her big sticker sheets right. So Missy Jean knew what math was all about: numbers. Whatever symbols were covering Professor Pio Pio's unlined sheets, they were certainly not numbers. Professor Pio Pio looked at his watch. He looked at Jesse and he looked at Missy Jean. He said, "Let's go outside and see something beautiful." Nobody wished to argue this plan. Missy Jean put on her shoes. Professor Pio Pio scooped Jesse off the floor. They went outside, they hailed a cab, and they stood on the edge of the drive called FDR. The three looked off to what Professor Pio Pio called the east. A sphere of blazing crimson was rising magnificently behind 3 buildings near 2 bridges that came from one short place. Sorry. The place melted off into a mysterious island that Professor Pio Pio called long. Right now, it was too long to see and too wide to cross, but it all grew out and left, if Jesse heard Professor Pio Pio right, from a blue part called the Sound. Jesse was a little confused by this name. All the ups and the overs and the outs and the colors seemed so nice, so slow and silent, cool and quiet, not like a sound, but also not like a picture. Not at all like one of those pictures you could hold in your hand on a buzzing phone. No, watching the sunrise was more like sitting on the couch with Missy Jean and a peaceful movie, but lost in cushions made of clouds and no reasons to rewind. Things were calm and clear with Missy Jean. She even knew how to spell movie, DVD, and she knew how to take care of him. He was proud of her for that. At that moment, at least, things were not unclear to Missy Jean, but neither were they clear. They just were. She had stopped listening to Professor Pio Pio or to anything else from the moment she started looking. Her mouth hung slightly open. She did not hear Professor Pio Pio when he told Jessie that the fiery circle was called the sun. She did not at that moment need to know whether the treat was called sunrise or run size or Googleplex. It was a treat no matter what anybody wanted to call it. The three remained quiet for a long time after the stars faded from view and the sun dominated the low sky. The whole thing was indeed a movie. Both the fading stars and the rising sun trekked from one sky edge on their way to the other. It appeared as though Missy Jean, Professor Pio Pio, and Jessie were under a big round tent. Somebody invisible was pulling the tent top from left to right. At last, it dawned on Missy Jean. Well, it might be nice to see that again sometime. She paused. But some other time, I think. I'm too happy right now. Jesse was also happy. He was happy for the sun. He was sure the sun would get some rest and burble up again some other time. Jesse, Missy Jean, and Professor Pio Pio went home and ate and played and napped and played and ate. Chapter 2, Moon. Before pajama time, Jesse was aware of the dusky traces of sunlight. Were they coming or going? At the lab, Jesse found Missy Jean. She too was looking forward to another sunrise. Finally, Professor Pio Pio said, "Let's bring our suppers outside and see if the sun rises again." And so they did, but so it didn't. Instead, they saw the moon, far higher than the place in which they had recently found the sun. The moon was bright and beautiful, but it looked like someone had bitten it. Half of it was missing. Why? Thought Jesse. He remembered one night when the moon looked like a perfect circle. He remembered it well because the moon kept following him around that night, even when he was in his car seat, zooming up that same FDR drive. What kind of creature would eat his moon? Jesse thought, and Missy Jean asked. Professor Pio Pio assured them, "Don't you worry, the moon's still there. Part of it is just hidden in shadow. The moon cannot make its own light the way the sun can. Sunlight bounces off the moon and heads towards our eyes. Sometimes more gets bounced, sometimes less. It depends where the moon is." Supper was long, leisurely, and quiet. Missy Jean was deep in her mashed potatoes. Jessie was deep in thought. How do some things make their own light? The sun did, but the moon did not? Did he? Did Missy Jean? Professor Pio Pio probably did. He certainly made a lot of his own noise. Chapter 3, Stars. "Well, what about the stars?" asked Missy Jean. "Why can't we go say hello to them before we say goodnight to ourselves?" "Well, why not indeed?" replied Professor Pio Pio. The three walked outside and Professor Pio Pio pointed up. "You see that sideways V that looks like a mouth? It's the head of a bull named Taurus. That bright red giant star, Aldebaran, is its eye." Missy Jean and Jessie loved animals. They kept their eyes on the bull for a long time. Long enough, it turned out, to notice that, like all the animals and fish and twins and hunters and everything else around it, it seemed, and everything around it, it seemed, it slid smoothly across the sky from down and left to up and center to down and right, just like the sun had. Well, good job, world," said Missy Jean. "You just keep turning around us like that." "Yes, good job, world," thought Jessie. "Good night, you two," declared Professor Pio Pio. "The early bird catches the worm." Well, Missy Jean was not so interested in catching a worm, but Jessie had no strong feelings on that matter. His eyelids had dropped fully by the word bird. Somehow he later found himself in bed. Hold on. Okay. Chapter 4. There's 7 chapters. For a reason. Chapter 4, Venus. The next evening, the three rushed outside and zoomed over to the Hudson River to see if they could catch the sun setting in what Professor Pio Pio called the west. There was a big tugboat blocking their view. Sadly, it seemed that they had arrived too late. Happily, however, they arrived just in time to see the biggest, brightest star they had ever noticed. It seemed to be setting, just like they had been hoping for the sun. "Wow, dazzling," thought Jessie. "Is that super duper star always to the right of Taurus?" asked Missy Jean. "Actually, no," explained Professor Pio Pio. "That thing wanders back and forth, but always stays near the sun. It wanders past the bull, the ram, the scorpion, and the other 9 animals who march together across the southern sky. Because it wanders, it's actually called a planet. Planet is a Greek word. Uh, Planet is a Greek word for wanderer. It's the planet Venus," finished Professor Pio Pio. Jesse suddenly felt different from how he had a moment ago. He had been excited happy, and now he was calm happy. It was funny how having a name for something memorable seemed to solve a mystery. But it was also funny how a mystery solution could create its own confusion. Which was more fun, searching or finding? Chapter 5, Jupiter. The next night involved more searching and more finding. The three went out far later than they had on previous nights. After this evening's dinner, juicy chicken to eat and chickeny juice to drink, they played and sang and danced and sang and played for tons of time before heading out to the edge of the valley. The sun was long gone. Venus was long gone. Even Taurus was getting close to that mountain in the west. But up in the sky, amongst the connect the dot crab that Professor Pio had called Cancer, blazed another unusually bright star, almost as big and beautiful as Venus. Neither Missy Jean nor Jessie failed to notice this. How could they? Professor Pio did not fail to answer their unasked question. You got it, guys. That's another planet. That one is Jupiter. Planets aren't always that bright, but they do always dance to their own tune. Someday, some year, you won't find Jupiter among the crab stars. You'll find it along the lines of the lion or the specks of the sea goat. Planets wander through the stars. Chapter 6, Phases of Venus. Binoculars recommended. The next and final evening, Jessie, Missy Jean, and Professor Pio rushed out early in order to try to catch the sun before it dropped behind a big mountain. Again, they missed it. It was too bad, but it was not too bad. Neither Jessie nor Missy Jean truly wanted to win in a competition against Mother Nature or Father Time. Any disappointment they might have felt disappeared the moment that Professor Pio pulled two small but clunky black objects from his bag. Each object was a pair of binoculars. Jessie and Missy Jean each gazed toward the mountain through long, thick glasses. Suddenly, it seemed that they had stepped a dozen times closer to outer space. Without the binoculars, they spotted and recognized Venus. With the binoculars, a bit of confusion set in. Missy Jean spoke. Now Venus looks like the moon. Jessie knew what she meant. Now that he was closer to Venus, it no longer looked like a wandering star. Like the moon, this circle was missing a chunk. So some sky wanderers did not make their own light? Professor Pio nodded as though he had heard Jessie's thought. Instead of answering, he asked a different question. Missy Jean, do you think the firm ground below you makes its own light? Missy Jean replied with confidence, No, silly, dirt isn't fire. Well, it makes sense to me, stated Professor Pio. Chapter 7, Moons of Jupiter. A second and final call for binoculars. Indeed, at some times, some space things were starting to seem clearer to Jessie. Yet he was surprised to find, at other times, that the more he looked at some other things, the less clear the other things seemed to seem. If some sky wanderers did not make their own light, and if Earth did not make its own light, did that mean that Earth was a sky wanderer? It certainly did not feel that way. If circles were shapes, for example, did that mean that all shapes were circles? It certainly did not seem that way. Yet something about those wanderers made Jessie feel a little bit dizzier in his mind and even dizzier on his feet. To make matters more surprising, Professor Pio then pulled 4 objects out of his pack. 3 large and 1 small, but all squishy. Jessie loved that pack. He loved how it was bigger on the inside than it was on the outside. Professor Pio unrolled the 3 large objects. They were sleeping bags. But neither Missy Jean nor Jessie noticed that until later. They noticed the small squishy bag. It had marshmallows. Professor Pio explained, Listen, let's make a fire, let's roast marshmallows, and let's sleep under the stars. I'll wake you when Jupiter comes out. They did, and he did. Jessie and Missy Jean found Jupiter. Jupiter wasn't quite as sharp as Venus, but Jupiter was bold. Jupiter wore an orange robe. Jupiter was king. It sat solemnly on a floating throne. They did, and he did. Professor Pio offered last night's binoculars. Wait, sorry. Yeah, okay. Professor Pio offered last night's binoculars, those long black eyes that had shown them Venus's missing piece. Jesse twitched. Sure, he liked finding new things that were there, especially when they were hard to see. But last night's hollow bite from Venus was still eating at him. How had Professor Pio pointed out something that wasn't there, something that before had seemed so easy to see? They clutched on and took giant steps toward Jupiter through their new and superpower eyes. When they stared at Jupiter, and it so seemed closer. But when they stared at its black surrounding realm, that too was more, and yet it seemed farther. Their balance grew weaker, their vision grew stronger. Soon, in a line surrounding Jupiter, 4 brand new stars fuzzed into view. Whoa! Exclaimed Missy Jean, delighting in her discovery. Oy, thought Jessie. Wait, are those regular stars or sky wanderers? Asked Missy Jean, sorting out her new discovery, seen freshly with the fresh eyes. Um, Professor Pio replied, Oh, those 4 wander all right. But they don't only just wander around, they wander around Jupiter. Those are 4 of Jupiter's moons. A world of worlds going around a world inside the biggest world of all? Jesse's thoughts swirled. They whirled. Jesse thought he had a funny feeling, but he did not feel that he had a funny thought. So, a thing in the sky can go around a thing in the sky that goes around, cried Missy Jean, and she slapped a hand on her own mouth to keep her last sentence from running away toward forever. So much was slipping, super slick, yet somehow steadily. Wait, and so a heavy rock can fly like light and wander through the dark of space? Wondered Jessie. The earth feels so still. And, started Missy Jean, and still it moves, saw Jessie. And as Jessie thought this thought, he too moved, but this time through time, toward the future. He grew older, perhaps you might say, but only by a minute or two, and only at the speed of life. Yes, that's true, but this time he felt it. The end. I will see you next semester. I've really appreciated working with you guys. See you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, bye.